Have you ever really stopped to think about what it actually means to be alive? It's more than just moving or thinking. At its very core, life is this beautifully complex machine, and it runs on a really precise system of processes. Today, we're going to pop the hood and take a look inside.
So let's start with a simple question. What is the real, fundamental difference between a living thing, like you or me, and, I don't know, a rock? I mean, they're both just collections of atoms, right? But one is just buzzing with this constant, coordinated activity. So what's the secret sauce?
Well, it all comes down to a handful of core functions that every single living thing has to perform just to stay in the game. We call them life processes, and you can think of them as the operating system for this incredible biological machine. Okay, first things first. Every machine needs fuel, and a living organism is probably the most complex machine there is. So our first process is all about how we fuel up, how we get those essential raw materials from the world around us.
And we call this process nutrition. But listen, this is so much more than just eating. It's the whole shebang, the entire system of taking in food and then actually using it for everything, for energy, for growth, for fixing things. Honestly, without this step, nothing else can happen.
Now, when it comes to getting food, life on Earth has basically come up with two master strategies. On one side, you've got the autotrophs. Think of them as the self-feeders, like plants. They're the planet's master chefs, creating their own food from just sunlight, water, and air. And on the other side? Well, that's us. We're heterotrophs. We're the consumers who have to get our energy by eating other organisms.
Let's zoom in a bit on the method that we're most familiar with, holozoic nutrition. This is that classic eat, digest, absorb system that you see in pretty much all animals. It's all about taking in complex food and breaking it down inside the body. And this process works kind of like a five-step factory line. First up, ingestion. That's just getting the food in your mouth. Then comes digestion, where all that complex food gets broken down. After that is absorption, where the good stuff, the nutrients, are pulled into your body's cells. Step 4 is assimilation. That's when your cells actually use those nutrients to do work. And finally, egestion, getting rid of whatever wasn't digested. It's a perfect system from start to finish.
So, we've got the fuel. But raw fuel just sitting there isn't very useful, is it? You have to convert it into a form that the machine can actually use. So this next step is all about creating that usable power.
And that process is called respiration. Now, a really important point here, this is not just breathing. We're talking about something happening on a much smaller scale. Cellular respiration is the process where your cells take glucose, sugar, and break it down to release energy. This is the power plant of every single cell.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. It all starts with one molecule of glucose. Inside the cell, that glucose gets split into a smaller molecule, releasing just a little bit of energy. But what happens next creates a fork in the road, and it all depends on one critical factor. Is there any oxygen around?
This leads to two completely different pathways. If oxygen is present, you get aerobic respiration. This is the super efficient route that breaks glucose down completely. But if there's no oxygen, you get anaerobic respiration. It's a lot faster, but it's kind of sloppy. It only partially breaks down the glucose and leaves a lot of potential energy behind.
So just how much more efficient are we talking? Well, for every single molecule of glucose, aerobic respiration can generate up to 38 units of ATP. That's the energy currency of the cell. That is a huge energy payout.
Now compare that to the anaerobic route. From that exact same molecule of glucose, without oxygen, you only get a measly 2 molecules of ATP. Just 2. So you can see the presence of oxygen makes an absolutely massive difference in how much power you can generate.
All right, so we've got our fuel and we've turned it into energy. But that energy is useless if it's just stuck in one place. So the next essential process is all about delivery. We need an internal transport network to carry all those supplies exactly where they need to go.
In humans, that system is our incredible circulatory system, and it really has three main parts. You've got the heart, that's the relentless pump. You've got the blood, that's the fluid that carries everything. And you've got the blood vessels, a massive network of tubes that act like the body's highways.
The real genius of the human heart is its 4-chamber design. This separation is the key to its incredible efficiency. It basically acts like a two-sided pump, which makes absolutely sure that the fresh, oxygen-rich blood coming from the lungs never mixes with the oxygen-poor blood coming back from the body.
And because of that four-chamber design, we have what's called double circulation. All it means is that for one full trip around the body, blood passes through the heart twice. First, it gets pumped to the lungs to pick up oxygen. Then it comes back to the heart to get another powerful push out to the rest of the body. It's an incredibly efficient, high-pressure system.
We're almost there. Now, any active system, whether it's a factory, a city, or a living body, is going to produce waste. It's unavoidable. So, the final critical life process we need to look at is waste management, the body's dedicated cleanup crew.
In us, this is the human urinary system, and it's our main filtration plant. Its job is to filter all the metabolic junk out of the blood, manage our water levels, and then package all that waste into urine so we can get rid of it.
But the real work isn't happening at the level you can see here. We have to zoom in, way in. This little structure is called a nephron. It is the tiny, microscopic workhorse of the kidney. And get this, there are about 1 million of these intricate little filters in each one of your kidneys. This is where the magic really happens.
So here's how it works. Blood enters the nephron, and a bunch of stuff gets squeezed out. Water, waste, but also useful things the body needs. But then, as that liquid travels through this long, winding tube, the nephron does something brilliant. It selectively pulls back all the good stuff the body wants to keep, like glucose and water, while letting the actual waste products pass on through to become urine.
So as we bring this all together, the most important takeaway here is that these aren't 4 separate things happening on their own. They are all part of one deeply interconnected, continuous system.
Think of it like a cycle. Nutrition brings in the fuel. Respiration unlocks the energy from that fuel, the transportation system delivers that energy everywhere it's needed, and finally, excretion cleans up all the waste from that activity. Each process completely depends on all the others to keep the whole system running smoothly.
Which leaves us with a final thought. Life is this incredibly delicate, intricate balance of all these interlocking systems. And it really makes you wonder, what happens to the entire organism when just one small part of this incredible biological machine starts to fail?